What's up, everybody? Tinker here. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to change out the battery for 1997 Mazda Miata. First thing you want to do is locate the battery. This car happens to be right here in the back, so what I'm going to do is I have to open up the trunk to access that. Rudy pulled up just in time to help out with this battery. Follow him on Instagram at Rudy Home. Now the first thing you're going to want to do when taking off this battery is disconnect that positive terminal, which will always be the red one. And the size that you're going to use is 9 times out of 10 going to be a 1/2 inch wrench. But we're going to take that positive terminal off, and then that'll allow us to take this battery tie down off so we can move it out of the way to get that negative terminal out. So Mazda, being a foreign car, uses the hardest to find wrench in your entire collection at 10 millimeters. That's what I'm going to use to take this off. And with that positive terminal off, we don't have to worry about grounding ourselves out. So we can start working on this battery tie down right here. Now it's just this one bolt, and I believe that's a 7/16. With that battery tie down and hardware out of the way, we can then move this battery so that we can get better access to that negative terminal back there to take that off. And again, because Mazda, I guess, wants to be inconsistent, the negative terminal is a 1/2. And we don't have to take this off, just enough so that we can, oh man, that thing is on there. Let me use 2 hands. Now with your battery off, you want to dispose of this properly. Your local auto parts store will usually take these when you buy another battery, and that's called a core charge. A lot of places when you buy a battery will upcharge the other battery, and you'll see that they charge what's called a core. Now when you bring the old battery back, you'll get that money back. So it's always advised, it's almost an incentive that they use to get the old batteries back from you so they can recycle them and reuse them. And one thing you're going to want to do from your old battery to the new one to ensure you have the right one is try to find on here your cold cranking amps and the battery size. Now this one being from Mazda, the only part number that we can see here is called Miata. Now you can order a battery from Mazda specifically for a Miata like that, but I went to Pep Boys and gave them my year, make, and model of the car, and they came back with this battery right here. Now our cold cranking amps was 320 at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So when it's cold out, you have 320 cranking amps that'll, crank the starter. Now at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, above freezing, you have 415. Now you want to make sure that this battery is not bigger than the one you're taking out, because that might short circuit some of or overload some of your electrical components in the car and cause some further problems. So there's a couple of things you're going to want to do before putting the new battery directly in. Would be taking off these caps. Now what those do is prevent this from grounding out during transportation and storage, so that way it's no metal is touching off here, and it doesn't create any sort of arc or spark or anything else that might short this battery out. So you want to take those off. And the next thing you're going to want to do is identify your positive and your negative terminals. Now when we took the other battery off, the positive was facing outwards. So we're going to want to do the same thing. Turn this battery like that so the positive faces outwards before we put it in. As well as move it so that we can connect up this negative terminal. Put a little bit over here. Give yourself enough room. Well, if I can get it right here. Oh shoot. Give yourself enough room to connect your negative terminal. Like so. Now this one I have to position it a little bit weird because of the way this battery was made, but that's no big deal. Then we're going to tighten that down. So I've got my negative terminal on. One thing I had to do to ensure a good connection was this was actually reversed. This bigger side and this stud were switched, and I wasn't able to tighten down this side with this little area in here, so I had to take this bolt out and put it in through the other way, as you can see, like that, so I could come from this side and secure it down. Next, you're going to want to take all of that hardware along with this battery tie down and re-secure that. Now again, that was a 7/16 that I took off of here. So I'm gonna tighten that down, and then we'll move on to the positive terminal. And now that your negative terminal, or your positive terminal, excuse me, is back on, that concludes installing your battery. And what you can do is come in here. Excuse my Jimmy rigged ignition. Oh, where's the hole? Whoops. And go ahead, start it up.